by management consulting firm shows that an increasing number of South Africans are struggling financially each month. According to the study, 87% of consumers describe their economic situation as stretched, and of these, 32% say that they find it hard to make ends meet. We've got Andisa Liba, who's the Chief Human Resources Officer at Floatpays, and she joins me now to discuss this further. Thank you very much for your time this evening, Andisa. So that debt trap that people usually fall into when they are in dire straits, and I mean, how on demand is it, and how easily is it to access?
Yeah, look, so I mean, I think the concept of on-demand access pay is incredibly important. I think given the current economic climate, as you had alluded to earlier, with regards to the study from McKinsey, a large segment of our population is feeling incredibly stressed out about their finances, right? People aren't able to make ends meet. And so I think now more than ever, I think employers are really well placed to enable, value propositions, I think products such as on-demand access pay. And essentially how it works is that it's allowing employees to have, a small access to their earned income within that pay cycle, helping them with the emergencies and living expenses, as well as I think to curb some of the behaviors of engaging with the informal lending sector, which is high risk, high credit solution that I think also in the long term continues to keep people in that debt cycle.
Now, absolutely, and that's going to be absolutely crucial, because employee behavior in the face of these financial headwinds does have an impact on businesses or how they conduct themselves at work, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, if we look at some of the data indicators, what we do know is that 40% of people are spending about half of their salaries towards paying debt, meaning that there's increased stress levels, which means that the workforce is generally less engaged, people are less productive, and ultimately that impacts the commercial bottom line.
No, absolutely. So then, helping employees practically achieve financial wellness in all of this, what kind of steps should be taken in this regard?
Absolutely. So I mean, I definitely think there's an opportunity here for a lot of employers to recalibrate the employee value propositions, particularly around the financial wellness lever, right? So I think leveraging platforms such as, the on-access, demand, to access pay, being able to bridge that gap. The platform in itself is quite varied in the sense that I think that's the one component is being able to access a small percentage of your earnings to help build that bridge. The other, functionality is being able to purchase, what we call zero-rated product offering. So things like mobile and data, and these are things that have become part of our day-to-day living, given the era that we live in. But I think to your point earlier, right, the poverty line is fast spreading its wingspan, it's cutting across all income levels. And people are really having to seriously reevaluate, their living expenses, their spending habits, just to try to make ends meet. So it really is quite critical. I think companies are starting to look into platforms that can help their people to rebuild, the right financial behaviors, so that, they don't lean too much into using debt as an option to make it through the end of the pay cycle.
Now, it's quite interesting, and I'm just wondering, based on your engagements that you've had with different stakeholders, the appetite for this product offering that a business or a company that you work for would offer you, do you find that people are taking that up, or do you find that people are still a little bit wary to take a portion of their earned money just to survive the rest of the month?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I think from conversations we've had with some of our customers, I definitely think employers are starting to see the benefit of making this available. I do think, though, overall, I think the concept is relatively new from a South African perspective. And so through that lens, I think there are some concerns. But I mean, I think, in the studies that we've seen with some of our customers that have been on the product for a little longer, we are seeing, the right indicators, telling us, that people are using less and less credit facility, which in the long term, improves, your credit profile. We are seeing people, developing the muscle to save more money, and putting away money for when they do have emergencies in the long term. So I think the benefits and the upsides far outweigh any concern, I think, about the product. I think if we look at the philosophy and the importance of a saving culture, the reality is that in South Africa, we don't necessarily have that, intrinsically in our culture. And we really are trying to change and shift the needle.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. Andisa Liba is the Chief Human Resources Officer at Floatpays.